A response to Mr.BBB333 regarding cell phone issues. Um, Not specifically outages like you have mentioned, although I live close to the Defense Language Institute, and they do a lot of testing there, and we used to have AT&T, and our phones would go out sporadically. But on the issue of cell phones, yes, there have been a lot of problems just in that department, and you labeled it perfectly at the end of your video. Let me give you a few examples. It may sound like no big deal, but it is a big deal. For example, I have probably, after a major hack that happened at the same time of the presidential election, and it actually involved a close friend of mine, and I'm still convinced that that whole hacking thing was mainly targeting truthers. I had my identity stolen, essentially not for financial reasons, but it basically tried to F up my whole program, and it did. And I've had to change cell phone services I don't know how many times. I'm not just getting like telemarketers. I'll get people that call me up and will tell me personal things about people I know. And I have even gotten the synthesizer phone calls, where I have a phone call and it's someone who I know or recognize talking to me and having a real conversation like I'm talking to you right now. It must be AI. And it's not them. It's not them at all. It sounds like them. And they even answer questions. I'll start testing them to see if it's really them. And they'll actually even know very detailed moments of time in our friendship. And yet it is not them. The same has been happening with texting. And it's actually easier to pick up with texting because they use certain words that you know they would never use. Now, I'm not a Trump supporter whatsoever. I've noticed this in the Trump tweets. I don't even know the guy. But sometimes you'll notice, you're like, the guy's really an a-hole, but he usually wouldn't say that word. He might say something even more rude than that. But some of those tweets, I think, are suspicious to me. I've tested this out before. I've had on Messenger. Messenger on Facebook is definitely hacked. I actually did quite a radical test with that and a friend of mine where we wanted to see and prove to see if it was hacked. And this was when I was really upset because what was happening was I had two phones. Both of them had Facebook open on them, Messenger, two separate cell phones, my dad's cell phone and my cell phone. And while I was having a conversation with somebody on Messenger, over 10 questions or answers or replies that were sent, 5 of them came out on one phone, but didn't on the other, and the other 5 came out on the other phone. And they were timed in such a sequence that if you were to time them incorrectly with what the question was from the other person and vice versa, you would definitely be getting the wrong impression. It would either start a fight or it would cause some sort of conflict. Asking around with friends, of course, no one believes anything that I'm saying about that being organized. Almost everyone I know is having that same exact problem. It's as if they're compartmentalizing or creating conflict amongst people in the most silliest of ways. And the biggest, of course, hassle with that is no one believes, even if it is an error in the phone company, that that's possible at all. You sent that, you son of a bitch, because I told you about this and that. Like their mind takes off with these ideas that you're just making up an excuse for what you said. And it's even to the point to where I've actually sent some things that I'm like, I'm pissed off at somebody, and then they've shown me their texts, and something somewhere has elaborated quite a bit on one text that I would send. And luckily they caught it, because this was not the right person to F with. And they know what's going on too. And basically I was upset at something and I wrote them that, but something kept texting them with my phone number and basically was trying to start a fight. Could have gotten me killed. And I know this is happening with a lot of other people, and they have excuses. They're like, oh, no, so-and-so came into my house the other day and was messing with my cell phone. Or it's just my cell phone. My cell phone's broken. No one's rationalizing that this is actually something that's organized. There are other members on Facebook that I've heard from that are having the same exact problems, and guess what? We all do the same exact thing on Facebook. The infamous Nani and Nine has been very much targeted. She had almost a breakdown, and I almost did too, talking to my one friend, because it's not something that's very funny. When she had a conversation for about a half hour with who she thought was her mother, and it turns out it was an AI, like Siri type voice of her mother's. When that happens to you guys once, what's that saying? Physical wounds heal, mental ones don't. You don't trust a goddamn thing you see on your phone. It doesn't matter who it's from. You don't trust that anyone is legitimately texting you unless you see them face to face. And even then, your mind is kind of so scrambled. You think that they're like playing a joke on you, or that like they're, maybe we've seen too many sci-fi movies, whatever you want to call it. But it's not my imagination. It is happening with people. I have people that will not talk to me anymore. I have no idea why, but I know something's happened. I know someone has texted them or sent something to them. So I even investigated this with my phone company. They totally agree. Talk to people at Apple. They say all of our phones are cloned. This guy told me this. Not only that, they're not cloned by criminals that are here in the U.S. I went and got a brand new Apple phone. This is an Apple 7 back about a year ago. And he looked at the numbers, and he was basically breaking down to me that this phone has been cloned from the factory. In other words, they're making them cloned, pre-cloned. So almost every phone we buy is already cloned out there with the potential to have a backdoor to it or to use the phone number for something. And they will utilize that. They will utilize that. Also, since I have so many cell phones, I have one through almost every service. When one goes off, you have to pay it. I pay it month by month on most of my current cell phone bills. I had AT&T for 15 years. And after that major hack, I had to move on to PCS Mobile. Great deals. Everyone's having these incentives. If you come to us, we'll give you a great deal. We'll give you a free phone. Dude, I've got phones everywhere. I'm getting punked hardcore. I made a $70 payment on a $50 bill, and the computer is now telling them that I owe another $140 that's not even due till December 17th. But until I pay that, I can't use my phone. And even they're admitting that that's an error, but they won't do anything about it. So they're saying you paid money, that went to waste, you cannot use your cell phone, and your next bill is going to be $140. We don't know what to tell you, our computers are messed up. Sorry, if you don't like our business, you can leave. I mean, literally, they're telling me that. And as soon as my cell phone gets shut off, immediately, guess what happens? On my computer, they want new passwords for all. You notice this, right? Okay, the cell phone companies are notifying Google and all them when your cell phone goes out because, well, I know my password because I deliberately use the same one all the time. I know that's not a security, good security thing to do. But I do it because they always claim I'm typing in the wrong password. Then I found out it's because I must be open on some other phone. But it doesn't tell you that. It says wrong password, wrong password. Every time one of my cell phones gets turned off, it says you have the wrong password. You have to reset it. Well, how do you reset it? We'll send it to your cell phone. So they're trying to squash communication. There's no doubt about that. There's a huge, huge thing going on. And everyone's walking around thinking it's just, some errors in cell phone service. It's organized. I'm positive of it. If there's one thing I will come out and say, this is a conspiracy. We're all getting scammed. People need to worry right now. It's this. And this isn't not Russia because this isn't on the news. I mean, we've all seen the fake news. That's pretty well financed. So that's not some old lady in a basement in Iowa. Okay, that's probably the main media people themselves who got nervous when we started doing live footage on Facebook. And they started controlling our newsfeed. Oh, by the way, on Messenger, yeah, we decided to, me and a guy, we typed in that we were going to do a drug deal. And this is a true story, about a year and a half ago. And so I went out to meet him at a bus stop where we were going to meet. And as soon as we get there, there's 2 sheriff's cars parked there. This is a true story. Well, I'm laced up with GoPro cameras because I filmed everything that we typed on Messenger and then what happened there. We went ahead and did the deal in front of them. He left. These 2 guys peel out, pull up right in front of him in front of the bus stop, get out, started just basically acting weird. Like, so what are you doing here? What time? They just saw a drug deal go down. It was for weed. And I know what they're asking me for. But it was like they were so shook up that we did that. They couldn't freaking believe we did that in front of them. And sure enough, I posted the video on Facebook everywhere I could immediately. Dude, it was like they were waiting for me. They took every one of those videos down immediately. It's like they knew that I had set them up. And so they didn't want to bust me because they knew that I had set them up, that was going to be worth showing that our Messenger is totally hacked. I mean, I won't go on Messenger at all. I mean, everything's hacked. I mean, it's ridiculous. We can already say, we think to ourselves the next thing we see, Google has an ad for it. But on Messenger, that was the most direct incident that I've seen where literally somebody, a human being, was getting my messages. This wasn't just some random stinger thing. Like, as soon as I did something that was like so obvious and overt, I was like, dude, this is just so obvious. Someone's going to have, if the police are listening, they're going to get involved in this. And sure enough, they were right there waiting. It could have been a coincidence. I highly doubt it. I highly doubt it. It was a very awkward incident. It's going on like crazy. We just have to assume they're hearing us. And if I was us, I would just keep on marching. That's my orders. Keep on going because, maybe I do something illegal now and then, but I'm not doing anything wrong. They are. Peace, love, and light.